Hello yet again. Welcome to another edition of Top 10 Worst Subs. Frequently thought of by many in very high, well-respected walks of life as being the finest of Top 10 Worst Subs anywhere, be it in the fields of battle or the highest echelons of academic learning. Top 10 Worst Stuff is bandied about as perhaps one of the finest, highest integrity, intellectual pursuits in all of recorded history, and even pre-recorded history, or history that wasn't even recorded at all, where people just talked about it in informal discussions, sitting around a campfire, plugging away, complaining about all kinds of irritations. I'm your host for this week's profound endeavor, Sal Monella, and what an honor it's been, and you're tuning in at such a pivotal juncture here in the entirety, the panoply of everything that Top 10 Worst Subs list is all about. And it's Top 10 Worst Celebrities to Trap in an Elevator with a Taco Bell Fart. Okay, I'm not using that particular fast food chain as a paid advertisement, product placement, or anything like that. It's just so bad that I think everybody can relate to how bad it is and what a torture it would be for anybody to be trapped in an elevator with a fart like that. It's a creeper, too, because you think that it's over in the first stages of the smell, and then it starts in with the burning of the eyes, and you're thinking, dear God, why do I have to live through something this horrific? Now, I'm going to just another thing before we get started with this particular topic. I might not be in full control of my mental faculties, so I will say some things, I'm going to do it, and I've got a long track record now. We're up to 104 episodes now. I think this is episode 104 of Top 10 Worst Subs. That means we presented well over 1,000 worst subs. 10 per episode-ish. And then we got, 100 episodes. That's more than 1,000 worst subs. We could be setting a record. Today's episode, I have to check. It could be today's episode. We could be here in a momentous time. Quick, let me call in for Guinness Book. Hello, bring Guinness Book. Hi, it's Top 10 Worst Subs. I'm Sal. What's the record for most worst subs? 997 worst subs. Thank you, Top 10 Worst Subs. This has been Guinness Book of World Records. Thank you. Good night. And so they said 998 was the number that they quoted me as the top of the to make us number one of all time worst ofs done by the same contiguous series of worst ofs by the same production company, Top 10 Worst of Inc. Incorporated. We actually spell out the word Inc. and fully spell out the word Incorporated, so yeah, you heard it right. Oh, look, it's Guinness Book call back in. Yes, this is Sal. What? Oh my. Thank you, click. They were wrong. There's actually 996 items of the top. So 997 would be the record tire. And 998 would be, what did I say was the winner? Well, maybe it's not different. I don't know what's different. I can't be held to math. It's 4 o'clock in the frickin' morning. Why are you making me do math? Top 10 worst celebrities. So, I'll say things and you might dispute them. You'd be like, that can't possibly be true. So go ahead on your little tippy toes so that you don't wake up any of the other inmates in the asylum and go over to a frickin' Encyclopedias Britannicas or whatnot and look at the frick up, you frickin' frick. And figure it out for yourself. I mean, if you're not doing that already, you're just a worthless piece of garbage. You are not, I mean, it's like, it's not just worthless, you're detrimental to the overall progress of society. You're holding all the rest of us back. It's worse. It's not that you're just worthless. You're less than worthless. Worse than worthless. Number 2, I'm not a partisan guy. If you're thinking you want to project that I need to know what side of the aisle this furry freak is from so that I know whether or not to hate him or love him. Should I embrace him? Should I hold him close to my bosom and nurture him and provide him succor? Cuccor. I don't want to get, when you're working with, providing succor, you better be very careful to make sure that you don't get into homonym trouble. I have an entire episode on homonym troubles. I've had some. Hey, I hate homonyms. Why would anybody do that? Put it in a language. Words that sound the same but are totally different words. They're spelled different. That mean different. So that's freaking nuts. It's abusive. It's sadistic. And why don't you enter the goddamn word ain't into the goddamn dictionary already? It's a word. How many of these people, like all these, like, sitting in their polite little ivory towers saying that irregardless isn't a word. Irregardless is used enough to be a word. You figure out the workaround. Just throw it in the goddamn dictionary and let it be a word. Irregardless. What do you be? You gotta be all so high and mighty. Oh, we're gonna control the language so that we can manipulate your brains and make you think things that are disadvantageous to your success and motivations, demotivate you, make you like every other fat, giant, hairy slob hosting a top 10 worst of episodic listing. The freaking top 10 worst of list is supported by, in part, by Horton Hears a Hookah from the Dr. Seuss's, the sequel to Horton Hears the Whoville. It's Horton Hears a Hookah. Parents, are you tired of leaving your kids at a competitive disadvantage while all your other absentee parents that you were friends with abandon their kids in front of the television? Or leave public education to fill their heads full of toxic vapor? You've made the mistake of trying to nurture them into responsible and informed future citizens. Wrong! Okay? How wrong you are. Best to prepare them for life in the midst of the gigantic land of morons and robots that our country is being trained to become. Dumb them down, keep them from being noticed, and dampen their curiosity with the latest in a series of preteen drug uses, novellas from Dr. Zayas entitled Horton Hears a Hookah and One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Balls, I think is another one. And then, Hop on Crop, the story of stepping on your Coke and thinning it out with baking powder. Hop on Crop. Horton can't get enough of the pipe hits and the bong loads. It's Horton Hears a Hookah. Don't bogart that joint, my friend. And of course, from producers of American Idol, IDOL, comes American's Idol, IDLE. It's the newest, hottest, and wettest reality show on TV, American's Idol. You, the viewer, can sit at home in the comfort of your own isolation float tank or in the break room of your local bathhouse and enjoy hour upon hour of blissful, reassuring, innocuous bulldink pictures of real American families sitting around and doing nothing but watching their TV. It's almost like a behind the scenes look at what Ozzy and Harriet or Leave It to Beaver would have looked like sitting around and wasting their lives away if any of those actors would have been lobotomized, drugged up, and programmed to be brain-dead, robotic couch potatoes embedded in a world of blissful emptiness. You, the viewing public at large, can play a role in determining who the laziest Americans are while you drive your monthly text message bill through to bejesus and back. It's Americans' Idol. And finally, Mighty Morphine Power Rangers. Hey parents, why do you choose to continue to live under the delusion that your kids will grow up in a world that plays by the rules and will provide opportunities for a decent life with some sense of normality when we were only probably a few short years away from a Sarah Palin presidency or the intellectual equivalent? You think the peer pressure for them to conform is tough now? Wait until the socio-political pendulum swings back towards the radical right. Even further, since each cycle towards the left gets increasingly conservative and each sweep back to the right becomes more and more radically oriented towards total fascism, by the time your kids are old enough to wank, they'll be faced with a myriad of impulses to act like one of only two acceptable personality profiles. Either they'll need to be the perfect Aryan or a brainless wonder. Why not give them a head start surviving by turning them on to Mighty Morphine Power Rangers, the new kids show that isn't, for once, just designed to be a multi-level marketing scheme to sell them a bunch of trite, disposable action figures. Turn that swag into skag. It's Mighty Morphine Power Rangers. Jesus Christ. Somebody's going to come after me any minute now. Who is it? Oh, it's the Thought Police. It's the Thought Police, everybody. Why, Thought Police, come on. I'm taping another episode of Top 10 Worst Deaths. Would you please come on, sir? So we've got a seat reserved on the next cattle car for you. And some of our doctors are looking very much forward to rendering your fat into a votive candle. All right, well, whatever. Top 10 worst celebrities to trap in an elevator with a Taco Bell fart. Now, it seems like I'm bashing lefties on this list because there's a lot of people who are presumed to be projected out to be lefties, but they're really secret righties. Okay, we got like lists and lists and lists of dozens, if not hundreds, of people who are secret righties in the echelons of, I mean, that's one of the only personality types, the background types that they'll let through the gatekeepers. So number 10, coming from a rich person's family, who I'd like to see trapped in a fart with a really prolific, trapped in an elevator with a really prolific fart. Emma Stone. Yeah, I used to like Emma Stone, and I saw her in an interview, and I was like, what a smug piece of work that one is. And so I'm not a fan anymore, even though I've enjoyed a few of her movies. You know, if she wants to go European and bang it out, and, you know, do some quasi-pornos, I mean, you know, far be it from me. Look at me. Well, am I supposed to criticize people that are actually successful? I did a 20-minute search as part of the episode while I was taping live to try to find out the name of Mark McGrath, the lead singer from the frickin' Stone Ponies or whatever that it was, Sugar Ray, on the previous episode. Do you think, you know, Emma Stone would be worried about having somebody like me saying that she should be trapped in an elevator with a potent gas expulsion? Number 9 of the top worst celebrities I'd like to see trapped in an elevator with a big giant fat wad of cheese. Ariana Grande, another person, came from a rich family just like Emma Stone. Smug, had no depth whatsoever, horrible at everything they do, and I don't think they're even really doing much of anything. Kind of just show up, hit your mark, and kind of look lost and bewildered and talk in a squeaky fake voice to make everybody think that you're like super vulnerable and stuff like that, when you really have said things like you hate all Americans and licked a bunch of donuts in this donut shop and you got caught on camera, or else you would have gotten away with it. Number 8, top 10 celebrities I'd like to trap in another. Let's talk about Hugh Grant. Now, look, I don't, you know, Hugh Grant did some stuff back in the day. Like, I think it was caught with a transsexual sex worker. I can't remember though exactly. But I haven't heard a lot of stuff. Maybe they've gotten better at covering up for that type of thing. But Hugh Grant just seems like one of those guys that you just look at that face and that mouth of his. It's the weird shape and stuff. I'm Hugh Grant. Love to just sort of see it on the camera as he's going, oh my, oh dearie me. And he's contending with the imposition of it all. Mr. Prim and Proper Hugh Grant. Ooh, I'm Hugh Grant. Nothing phases me. I don't have any, means a very low. It's like Hugh Grant and Bill Maher should get together and do like some kind of like spin-off of the Patty Duke show where they're, identical cousins and stuff like that. And they get into carry out a bunch of tomfooleries. Number 7 of the top 10 worst celebrities I'd like to see. Trapped in an elevator with a big stanker. Miles Teller. Now, I don't know a lot about anything really about Miles Teller, about what type of person he is, but just look at him and just kind of get a sense that this guy must be a smug a-hole. Do you not see that? When you see a Miles Teller and you kind of look at that face, that pasty white face, and go, again, he's another guy with a face, right? He's got the face and Miles Teller. And it's just like sort of about like, get a clammy sort of lizard person type of vibe, doesn't he? I don't know. Again, maybe I'm like being overly sensitive again. Here you go again. I don't have any off the top of my head. He's kind of looks like a Miles Teller. He's like I'd like to launch him in a with JetBlue. What's that thing that Baldy McBaldson, Jeff Bezos? Hey, Jeff Bezos, doesn't he look like he should be like the next Bond villain? Should be the next Serpico? Not Serpico. What's the guy? Blofeld. They get just like, I will wipe out the competition and then raise prices to unsurvivable levels and starve people to death all throughout the world. I'm Jeff Bezos. Miles Teller, he'd be great, love to see him being, sacrifice, human sacrifice to ensure a strong harvest in the next coming growing season. Miles Teller, it's just got nothing to offer anybody. Where do they pick these creepy, pasty, clammy lizard people up from? Tom Sawyer, what's the guy's name from Saunders, from the Spider-Man guy? Tom Morello, Tom Holland. Where'd they pick up this greasy-looking lizard freak? Tom Holland. I'm Tom Holland. You're going to have scissors position with Miles Teller. Scissors position. Scissors position. All right, number 6 of the top 10 worst celebrities I'd love to trap in a elevator full of the stenchiest taco farts of all time. Reba McEntire. Now, I guess that a lot of people either must like her or, like maybe the sadistic overlords are just shoving her down everybody's throat. But every time I see her, I think of like, just like, what's that first doll with the Goosebumps doll? What's the Goosebumps doll name? That freakies, Mr. Gerbils, I can't remember, but the ventriloquist dummy guy on Goosebumps, the horror ventriloquist dummy, almost the exact same dummy that they had in the old Anthony Hopkins movie Magic, where it's just like, that's what Reba McEntire strikes me as being, like a very satanic, animated ventriloquist doll that goes around, killing people and chopping them up and burying them in the backyard. Uh, I think it's Sugar Ray. I think that's number 5 of the top 10 worst celebrities I'd like to see trapped in the big fart chamber. Nick Kroll. Now, Nick Kroll, I know a lot of people probably like thinking like, oh, that guy's a nice lefty. He's got like a funny show. It's like totally like liberated and stuff like that. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Sorry. Totally wrong. Here's another guy, comes from a rich family. He does this TV series called Big Mouth that shows, I'm thinking the first episode or second episode, something like that, shows a graphic depiction of a 13-year-old's throbbing member with completely, draped in thick bush. And I'm like thinking like, really? Is that all you could come up with that was funny, showing naked 13-year-olds? And I mean, whether or not you have to think about the same types of, sort of evildoers between a cartoon depiction of a 13-year-old and an actual depiction of an actual 13-year-old. I still think if you're showing 13-year-olds naked, you're putting them in play. And this show Big Mouth is putting in, children in play where people are now thinking about them sexually oriented and graphic sexual oriented. An actual picture of a close-up of a big old 13-year-old pud. And that's Nick Kroll. That's his show. Rich family bastards. Number 4 of the top 10 worst people that like to stick in an elevator with a giant burrito fart. Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher. Man, these people are so despicable. And again, these are people who try to play themselves as if they were progressive lefties, but there's no goddamn way. They wrote in a letter. Danny Masterson was a friend of theirs who appeared on That 70s Show and the Ranch, and got busted and convicted for raping 2, maybe 3 women. Got a lot of time, like 20 years or something. And Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, for some reason, wrote the judges a letter. Each of them wrote the judge letters asking for leniency for a rapist and a convicted rapist. And people found out, the judge released it. The judge was like, I'm not going to sit on this, man. And they released it, and everybody's like, what the hell? What's wrong with these people? And then they come up with, on top of it, this apology video where they're both looking like they just rolled out of bed, and a bunch of crinkly like t-shirts and stuff like that, kind of like yours truly, except, I'm not having to excuse any types of things where I went out and publicly asked a judge to be lenient for a rapist, nor do I think that anybody's actually even watching these things. And part of the, sort of the image that I want to project here is I want people to know that how shattered my life is, how barely I'm able to do these things, and how much the crushing weight of being blacklisted by Google and YouTube is, destroying me even further. I mean, that's why I look like this, because I'm trying to be honest about it. I'm not dressing up and making it seem like everything is normal. Everything is horrible in my life, and I've been doing this for 30 years, trying to speak out against the powers that be, trying to bring some sense of equity and righteousness into our society so that people don't get, maligned or downtrodden any longer by these malicious, psychotic overlords of ours. And it's tough because nobody puts any effort into supporting those who are trying to go against the flow. Oh, we'll go out to 40,000 a day. We'll show up to Cubs Field and give the Ricketts family, who are inner circle members of the Donald Trump, junta, tons and tons of disposable income. But will they show up to independent theater? No. Will they show up to independent gigs and support local bands? No. Will they seek out people who've been blacklisted who are unable to be able to make their way in the world because they're being, not because of lack of talent, not because of lack of energy or effort, just simply because they go against the flow of the powers that be? No, they don't support any of that stuff. They're too busy at Cubs games or walking around in a circle with their cutesy little sign saying, "No Kings," and helping. Not helping. Amelia Kunis and Ashley Kutcher come up with this. It's not even really an apology. It's one of these sort of fake apologies. We're sorry that you didn't see, how right we were to do what we did. That was the extent of their apology, basically. And it's just pathetic and mean-spirited. Horrible people. And they really probably deserve more than just being trapped in an elevator for a little bit with a nasty fart flowing through. I can't do this anymore, man. This is too depressing and boring, and I'm not into it, and I'm in pain. This is my 5th hour of tonight of doing these things. I'm just going to speed through the rest. Number 3, the top guys in the elevator with farts is Tucker Carlson. We all know what a jag-off that guy is. Number 2, Sharon Osbourne. Eat a bag of puds, Sharon Osbourne. Nobody likes you. Nobody respects you. You're just this glommed onto a guy who had a lot of talent and wrote it for all it's worth. And you're just a big bully. And, I bet you one-on-one that you're a hateful piece of garbage. It's just, the way I see you. Nothing redeemable at all. And number 1 of the top 10 worst celebrities to trap in an elevator with a Taco Bell fart, Jay-Z and Beyonce. That'd be so good. I'm just do a 90-minute movie about it. They just keep pumping them in. And Jay-Z and Beyonce just kind of, standing there, arm in arm, reciting sequences of numbers that provide them some measure of sanity and groundedness within their weird numerology subsect of the Freemasons or whatever it is that they belong to. You gotta hate them. Jay-Z and Beyonce. Totally disingenuous. There's something else going on there. They're gonna find They're gonna get Jay-Z at some point. They're busy trying to sort of shift the money and do whatever it is that they have to do. But I think they're gonna get Jay-Z one of these days. He just seems like a guy who's just too in touch with the smell of his own home brewed gas products to not be hiding something. Anyway, that's all the time we got for Dylan. And I've so incredibly enjoyed our time together today. What an odyssey. What an oddity. It's an odyssey here. And it was just one more thing before I go to preview for next week. Don't forget to tune in because next week's a real Lulu Humdinger. It's just a special time awaiting us all. It's top 10 worst times to make a pass at... Oh, no, I already did that one. Top 10 worst times to come out to your family as a heroin addict. You're not going to want to miss a minute of that one. No siree. Oh, that's all the time I've got now for anybody who wants to get in touch with me. Don't forget to write. And it was a pleasure. And so on and so forth. Gosh almighty. Wow. And one more thing before we go. This is really crucial. I need everybody